Hello and welcome to my commercial law update for the academic year 2021-2022. I tend to put these videos out on an annual basis just to try and cover some of the updates in this area of law that have happened over the past 12 months and also things that might or are going to happen over the next 12 months that students who are doing a commercial law course should be aware of. The idea behind this is that it is a supplement to my commercial law course that is available on Gumroad, and I'll put a link in the description to this video if you are interested in purchasing the full course. So one of the main things that came up last year in the update was to do with coronavirus. We were really in the middle of the pandemic then, but since the vaccine rollout, this is becoming less of an issue, and we're starting to see some of the requirements being reduced. For example, we recently saw the end of furlough. And during the pandemic, there were also restrictions in the commercial context on issuing statutory demands and winding up petitions when it came to insolvency in a commercial context. Now, those limitations and restrictions expired at the end of September 2021, but they have actually been replaced now by transitional measures, and those are only going to end at the end of March 2022. So that's definitely something to look out for, but I think that over the next few months we'll start to see a winding down of a lot of this coronavirus legislation, whether it's in a commercial context or not. The other main question from last year was around Brexit, and we're starting to see the effects of Brexit. As the transition period has ended now, we're starting to learn to live with Brexit a little bit more and understand some of the implications in a commercial context. There's now a new timetable though for border controls on goods which are entering Great Britain. Remember, Great Britain doesn't include Northern Ireland, that's got its own separate Northern Ireland protocol. But there's now a new timetable on border controls for goods which are entering Great Britain from the European Union. And as you can see from the bullet points there, these are quite specific areas that we're dealing with. But I think that over the course of the next 12 months and even beyond that, we're going to sort of see a number of restrictions and rules that are going to come into place, just as Britain and the EU get used to sort of dealing with each other in a post-Brexit environment. And I think it's important to say that this works both ways as well. So this is all about Great Britain's controls, but the EU is also consistently changing the law in their area and their requirements as well. And so it's definitely something to look out for, that we're going to see a greater deal of divergence between European law and UK law. One of the other things that I talked about last year was the use of the CE marking. If you've got any electronic goods at home, then the chances are that they have this CE marking on it, which is basically just saying that it's safe and meets European standards. Now that the UK is leaving the European Union, they're going to have their own marking, which is this UKCA marking, which you can see on the right hand side there. Originally, it was going to be introduced fully from the start of 2022. But now, up until the start of 2023, manufacturers are actually able to use either the CE marking or the UKCA marking. So it's up to them. And as I said, recently we've just had a fuel crisis here in the UK, and a lot of the reason for that is down to Brexit and not being able to have lorry drivers. That's combined with a general fuel shortage which has occurred across the European Union, and that's going to affect energy prices and things like that over the winter. So Brexit is sort of having a knock-on effect on the commercial world in general, and I think that this is not going to be the last of it. I talked about this in a recent newsletter, and I think there's going to be sort of like more disruption which comes around as a result of Brexit, and that's going to have an effect on doing business, whether that's in the energy sector like with fuel and energy, or even in the finance sector, which is, much less to do with that, but has also been affected by Brexit. So there's going to be a variety of industries, but the chances are that any industry that you're talking about or dealing with is going to be affected by Brexit in some way or another. I think one of the main pieces of legislation that was passed in the past 12 months was the Trade Act 2021. This is not exactly revolutionary, but it does do a few important things. It establishes the UK Trade Remedies Authority. After Brexit, there was like an interim authority that carried out investigations, but the UK Trade Remedies Authority is more like a permanent replacement for that. It also implements a number of World Trade Organization requirements around government procurement, and there's also, after the Brexit transition period, certain trade agreements with the EU have now also been enshrined into law via the Trade Act 2021. Finally, there's also some important case law to be aware of. Some of these are on the podcast that I do, the UK Law Weekly podcast, so if you want to find out more, then you can listen to those. Phoenix Interior Design is actually a High Court case, quite an interesting one that looks at the unreasonable exclusion clauses, when an exclusion clause which is part of the standard terms and conditions can actually be considered to be unreasonable. So definitely worth having a look at that if you're interested in that area of the law. Some of the Supreme Court ones, as I say, Triple Point is definitely a podcast episode, and that looks at liquidated damages and negligence in a commercial context. Also very recently we did the Harker Sinclair and Your Lawyers case, which is about restraint of trade clauses between two law firms that were arguing. And this isn't a podcast episode yet because I've not quite got round to it, but certainly in the next few weeks we're going to be looking at the case of Pakistan International Airline Corporation and Times Travel Limited, which considers economic duress. So a range of cases that are going to be coming up, and a range of things that are going to be affecting commerce and the commercial legal sphere over the next 12 months. So if you're a commercial law student and you're looking to sort of get top marks, it's always going to be worth trying to incorporate examples which are very recent and trying to be on the cutting edge of the law. Commerce is the sort of area where these changes happen quite a lot, and it needs to respond to economic conditions. So if you're aware of the latest updates, then that puts you in a really strong position. As I say, there is a full course available for commercial law that looks at a range of subjects and goes into them in depth, and really covers the entire module. So remember, check out the link in the description to this video for that. Like, comment and subscribe this video if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll be back with another video next year and updates throughout. Thanks very much for watching. Bye!